Hey everyone, it's Jamie, and what I wanted to show you today was how to make some cell phone holders. And I have a couple different styles that I do, and one of them has these raised backs, and that's for, if you want to rest your iPad on it, or tablet. And then the smaller ones are strictly used for just the phone. And once again, these are also useful for business cards. I've used them for photo books. So anyway, very simple project, so let's get started and we'll talk about modifications along the way. So I have two pieces that I begin with, and they're two different size slabs. And the base is a 1/4 inch slab, and I use this cutter. Now this is a cutter that's 3 3/8 from Fat Daddy-O. And this slab over here is 3/4 inch thick, and what I've done is I've just impressed upon it the dimensions, and I prefer to cut it out instead of just press it through, because when you're trying to get it out it distorts. So I just put the markings on there, and then I'm going to cut this out. Now once I've made my first straight cut, then I switch to this tool, which I love. This is a Carpenter Square, I believe it's called. And I can just rest this on a straight edge. My next step is to create some lines for marking for when I cut after I do the beveling. So I know that the front part of my stand is going to be 1 1/4. So I'm going to mark 1 1/4 here. And then I know I want the gap to be 5/8, so I'm going to mark 5/8 from that mark. So 1 1/4, then 1 2 3 4 5, 5/8 gap. And I am just going to draw that in now. I'm not going to cut it yet. Right, now that I have my lines in place, I'm going to do my beveling. When I do my beveling, I like to have my thumb at the back for when I come through. If I don't, the clay kind of drags and distorts. So I'm just going to push it through like that. And now I have my base. Well, most of it. And now I'm going to do these final cuts. Save this piece, because this is what you're going to use on the back side to raise it up. Using a serrated rib, I'm going to score the bottom. So after I apply it, I'm just moving it around a bit to make sure that it's really adhered. I also take a card and I make sure that this is straight. Because clay likes to move. So this depth, the way that I make sure that my finger happens to be 5/8, a 1/2 inch to 5/8 wide, so this is perfect. So I just go through here to make sure that it's still the right size. So this is 5/8 here, and my phone thickness is 3/8. So just think about that ratio if you're planning for other devices. The other thing too is I'm using a stoneware clay that has about 12% shrinkage. So I could be done at this point, but I want to create a raised back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the thicker side, which is this side. It's a little bit thicker than this side, and I'm going to use this piece here and attach. So first what I do is I place it on top of the unit, and then I just draw where that line is. And also I kind of want to match the curvature, so I think what I'll do is I'll just put a taper in there. Put it on there. I like it. So now I'm going to score this. Score this. Wiggle it around, make sure it's really on there. And I'm going to put my credit card back up here to make sure that this is flat and across. So I'm pushing it towards the credit card. I want it straight up. Sometimes I feel like this is a little bit too steep of a connection here, so I want to add a little coil. Not steep, but I want to blend it in a little bit better, so I'll add a tiny coil. I don't want to move it around too much when it's in this state. I would, make it and then just let it sit for a while before I do my other parts. But because of this video, I'm kind of rushing it as far as applying my next things, which is the decorations. Alright, so I'm going to add a stamp now. And if I were to stamp directly into this, it would distort. So I don't want to do that. I want to do a little bit of applique for this. So I rolled a ball, and I'm going to spray my stamp. I'm putting some release agent on it. So I put it on a sponge, and then I put my stamp in there. And then I'm just going to put it straight down on it, rock it around, and then take it off. So now I have this print here. Now I could wait to let this set up a little bit, but I'm just going to rush it along. And so I score here, score here. So now it's just me doing any kind of minor touch-ups that I might round these corners out a little bit. You can just play with your shapes. You don't have to do it exactly like this. Here's one big one over here with just a straight wall. It still needs to be decorated. But I will suggest for firing, if you look at these pieces here, they are glazed all the way down to the bottom. And the way that I accomplished that is ahead of time I created a cookie. We call these cookies in our studio. And I bisque fire this along with the piece. And then what you do is when you're doing the glaze firing, you just stick this, I glue them onto the bottom. So I glaze the entire piece except for the very bottom, and then I glue this bisque cookie onto the piece, and it goes through the firing. And then of course the glue just burns out during the firing, and then I have my piece. The other thing that I would recommend is that when I'm doing any kind of thick pieces, more than, let's say, your thumb thickness, I always like to put holes in the bottom. So I will do maybe a hole every inch. So for this piece that I just picked up here to help with the drawing, I'm going to figure out, okay, so it's the whole length of my needle, so I don't need to go that far, maybe this much. So I'm just going to hold my finger here, and I'm going to push in and maybe do 3 holes down the side. And then on this side, this is shorter than this, but still to help with the drying out, so I'm going to come in maybe a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. And then I can also sign my name. So that's it for cell phone holders. Enjoy. See you next time.